What are you doing, guys? My name is Seeds, and welcome to Feeds Mindset, episode number 31 with the wonderful lady, SteffyEvans. Steph, how are you? Welcome in.
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I obviously appreciate your time being here today. I know you have a really busy schedule, so being able to be here and talk about yourself, it means a lot, so thank you.
No, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, of course. So let's get into it. So right before I ask questions, something I always kind of point out at the beginning of the podcast. My podcast is all about mental health and networking and getting out there and branching out. And I always think it's interesting to me personally to bring out, my friendship, like networking with whoever. And me and you, obviously, we definitely know each other. But I definitely wouldn't say that we're close friends. The reason why I say that is because a lot of people struggle with networking and getting out there and making new friendships. And are they going to like me? Are they too good for me and stuff? And I think it's very important that people just kind of jump out of their comfort zone because you never know the person you connect with. You never know how big of an impact they'll make on your life.
That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah, so that's something I always just like to bring up. It's just kind of a normal thing just because how I cover. So Steph, let's kind of get into who you are as of current day. Obviously, you have a wonderful community behind you, but for any of your community that maybe doesn't know or anybody new checking in, who is SteffyEvans as of today?
Who is SteffyEvans as of today? I mean, that's a broad question, but like, are you kind of wanting to know about my past and how I came about to this? Is that what you're asking?
Just who you currently are, like what kind of games you play and just your
Okay.
community and stuff. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, well, I mean, obviously, if you guys know me as the Call of Duty Karen or the COD Canceller, I don't know if you weren't there for that era, but my Fragile Men content that
Mm-hmm.
I do right now.
Yeah, it's awesome.
When I first started that content, it actually led to a lot of hate, and people labeled me as the Call of Duty Karen or the COD Canceller. And it was two guys with millions of followers that made videos on me that blew up. And so I back then didn't know how social media worked. I didn't know it came with this much hate. I wasn't a social media person growing up. Funny enough, I don't like pictures taken of me. I don't like being in pictures. And
Mm-hmm.
here I am, a content creator sitting in front of a camera every single day. I don't really, it's not about the way I look. I don't know. I grew up that way. And so, I remember I started content creation and I started playing COD. And COD is kind of represents me, That's kind of what built my brand and my
Yeah.
name and everything. But I started COD and I didn't realize how toxic it was. And funny enough, I remember playing my first S&D game and the first thing was a guy cursing me out. I'm like, "Yo, what the hell? Like, what is this?"
Yeah.
I actually first started with respawns. I was trying to go for feeds and all that, but I got bored and I don't know who introduced me to Search and Destroy, but I just started playing it and I didn't realize actually how bad it was. And I started playing and I was like, you know what? This could be like great content. Because back then I was just playing for fun. Like I was genuinely enjoying the game. But my ex at the time, he kind of encouraged me to like start posting and like, hey, you're actually pretty good at the game. You should try streaming. He encouraged me to start streaming, not posting. So I started streaming and I actually started with Fortnite, but screw Fortnite.
Yeah.
We'll talk about my COD days. I started with COD. I started streaming COD, and it was going pretty well. I mean, it was myself lurking, my ex, and then another PC lurking. So I had like 3 viewers. But TikTok gaming started back when I started streaming. And so I remember posting a clip and it went viral. My first clip, 3 million
Yeah.
views.
That's
Like,
awesome.
what are the odds of that? And it was a funny interaction. So it blew up with love. And
Yeah.
then I realized like how toxic gaming was for women. And so I started posting that content and then me beating them, like exactly how I'm doing it now. And it blew up as well. Well, it blew up to an extent. Like my likes to comment ratio was crazy. Let's
Really.
say I had like 500 likes and like 2 to 3,000 comments. And guess what those comments were? Just pure hate.
Yeah.
And so obviously people were jumping on the trend on making videos on me, started the Call of Duty Canceller, and I quit altogether. And this was only recently. This was in like 2018, 2019. So it wasn't that long ago. I quit. And then time went by. I started working, just playing for fun, maybe posting here and there, maybe streaming, but I quit altogether because of the hate. Like not altogether.
Yeah.
I like just didn't pursue it as much as I wanted to. And and funny thing is, when I blew up with hate, I blew up on streaming as well. I was
Yeah.
the numbers I was averaging now was averaging the same thing, but it was pure hate. Like there
Shoot.
was no love whatsoever. When I say pure hate, imagine my DMs and imagine the worst possible like doxing and hate comments and people telling me to KYS
Yeah.
nonstop. And so like I grew up, so I know you're all about mental health and
Mhm.
everything in this podcast. I grew up not like my parents, not even my parents, it was my family and our like culture. Nobody talked about like their feelings
Yeah.
and mental health and like it wasn't a thing. And so I remember when this started happening, like I kept it all to myself. And I was really upset. My Adam, I wasn't dating Adam at the time, but I was talking to him. And he knew it was getting to me, but he was like, "It's fine. Like just keep pushing through. Like use this hate and then like use it as an like to your advantage and try to
Uh,
blow up with it." And so I just like I like kept everything in. I was getting all this hate. And I remember one time I was visiting Adam from my hometown or not
mhm.
no, not my hometown. I'm from Norway, from my town. And I was visiting him and I was laying in bed and I just started bawling crying.
Mm.
And he's like, "Are you good?" Like I'm just starting to talk to this guy too and I'm so embarrassed because like I don't cry, I don't get emotional about stuff. Like I just let it all bundle up and I start crying. He's like, "Oh shit, like it's getting to you, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, like this sucks." And so he was there like to support me through all of this. Like it was great.
That's good.
Yeah, he was a great dude. I mean, obviously that was the one time and I was like, "I don't want to do this anymore. I hate this." And so I kind of just like gave up on like the whole building my brand and social media and I kind of half-assed everything I was
Yeah.
doing. I'd like completely half-assed it. I maybe posted once or twice a week, and it was like TikToks I didn't really care for. It was just a post, because I was afraid of my TikTok account falling off entirely. So it was more that mindset, like, oh, I just got to post a post.
Yeah.
And so a year or two went by. It was like a couple months before MW2 came out, and I was like, you know what? I want to do this. Like, I remember sitting down with Adam, sitting down with my friends, and I was like, I'm going all in MW2. I don't care if the game sucks. I'm going all in. Like, I'm doing the toxic content. I hadn't labeled it as fragile men yet,
Yeah.
but I was doing that toxic content. I was like, I'm doing it. I'm going in. I don't care the hate I get. If I get hate, I will take it and I will go with it. And I'll be honest, that was inspired by Nadia. You know Nadia.
Mhm. Of
So remember
course.
when she blew up and it was
Yep.
so much hate?
Of
She
course.
just took it and she just went with it. I was like, why did I not do that when it happened to me?
Yeah. Well,
And
I mean,
so,
I think it does take a kind of a special person in a way because that's a lot to burden on your
mhm,
shoulders and to get through it. But I definitely think it is, it's important, that you do your best to try to branch out network. Just like you said, you had your Adam, who was able to help you with that, and that's kind of a big thing with a lot of creators is we're all kind of longing for that one person and stuff to really kind of help and guide them and just get them through. And just having somebody to talk to just makes a world of difference at the end of the day. And I do think that is very important, and just to be able to have that and to let your feelings go, it helps your mindset and kind of does put you back on track. And it kind of
yeah,
roughly seems like that was kind of what happened for you. It was like you was done, you was able to finally get it out, you had a bit of time to process, and then you just kind of took a leap of faith and you're like, you know what, like a lot of this does really stink, but at the end of the day, like when I get to be where I want to be,
this is
it's
my
going to happen
passion.
anyways, so why
Yeah.
not go ahead and tackle it? And obviously, I think many gamers, especially for the women's space, know you as kind of the advocate for
Mhm.
that, defending against toxic men and stuff. And I think that's wonderful. I think that's amazing because it sheds light and brings a voice that many don't have. So I definitely think that's very important. And I'm proud of what you build, and you have a solid community behind you.
Oh, yeah, amazing community. Like I'm absolutely so grateful. Like it's just like I didn't expect it though. So like I built on that fragile men. Oh, sorry, I built on the toxic content, and
Hmm.
then one day I started this series. I was like, I can't remember what the intro was, but it was something about pissing. I think it was like pissing off fragile men and getting the win. Um, that is how the first intro started, and that one blew up. It hit like 2 million views, and I was like, you know what? Like this is it. And so I kept building on it and building on it. And every video for months on end was like 100K, 500K, million, 3 million, 4 million. Like I had a video hit 9 million views of
Yeah.
me making sandwiches and shitting on fragile men. Like I had newspapers. I have so many newspapers written about me. It's crazy.
It's
Like
awesome.
like Dextero, like the biggest newspaper in
Yep.
Norway, like wrote a whole article about me, and they wanted to fly me down to well, they wanted to host me at the convention, but I had to pay for my flight ticket. And I was like,
Gotcha.
"Eh." So they
Yeah.
would pay for all my housing and staying there and all this stuff. But and so I remember like I was I'm a very okay, so I build I take everything with a sense of humor, I
Hmm.
guess. Let's say. So when people are toxic to me, I like to do something that's funny back. Or when somebody says something really whack, I will just laugh. Like,
Yeah.
I will never like, I in the past, same thing, like, on top when I got toxic content on COD, it never got to me. It was only the actual hate outside of me posting that content. Like, toxic content has n or toxic or fragile men on
Right.
COD has never actually affected me. I wanted to put that a lot of people ask me that. I want to put that out there. They've never unless maybe they, like, track my address
Yeah.
down. Oh, I think you're lagging out.
Oh, can you not hear me?
Okay. No, you're good.
Oh,
You're
you're
good.
good. You're
There
fine.
we go. But so that's kind of like what shaped SteffyEvans, I guess. Like that's literally me. Like I like to take everything with like humor. Like I don't know like how to put a word to it, but like I like to make humor out of toxicity.
Yeah. No,
That's a
I mean,
good way to
I
say
think
it.
that's a very solid view to have because I do think that there's a lot of people that could benefit off of adding just some kind of little spice to their life in
Yeah,
situations
like
like
just
that, and
laughing
it could
about
help
it
them. And I
helps
think for
your mental
you,
health.
I feel like for you
Ooh,
with content as well, being able to kind of do that, it brings that out of them and it kind of helps you determine like, can I actually make content off of this? It's like, okay, well, he seems a little bit jittery. Maybe I can kind of get him riled up or something. And I could easily see that. So yeah, so
it's
I,
great, but that's one thing I wanna give it like, if people are watching this,
mhm,
and one thing, like, I always say, like, you have to realize that all the things they are saying is not personal.
yeah,
I mean, it is personal in a way, in a sense, towards women in general. Like, it's obviously targeted towards women, half the
yeah,
or 90% of the stuff said on COD, but you have to realize it's not personal to you. It's personal to women, like the group of women itself. And I always say, like, you just cannot let it get to you. Because whatever they're saying to you in this lobby, they're going to say the exact same thing to the next woman they hear. And I always say that, like, you cannot let it, you cannot take it personally. And that's one thing that, like, helps me, like, to realize, like, okay, like, everything they're saying right now, they're going to say to the next person. Like, I'm not anyone special, if you get me. Like, you
yeah.
just have to, like, laugh about it, mute, either laugh about it, talk shit back, or mute. Like, yes, muting seems as like they've won, but not really. They want to annoy you.
Yeah.
That's when they've won. When it gets to you, that's when they've won. When they know it's gotten to you.
Yeah,
And
and
so,
I think that's definitely the more important topic because that's kind of like the stigma. It's like, oh, like, well,
mhm,
if I mute them, then it's like then they won, and I don't want to give them that satisfaction. And obviously, you're right. Of course, it does give that to them. I mean, obviously, I'm not a woman, so I can't speak for that space. I
mhm.
want to preach for them and advocate for them and stuff. And it's ridiculous that that's even a thing in the first place. But at the same exact time, like, unfortunately, that is how the world is, and you have to adapt to it. I hate that it is that way, of course, but being able to kind of have some sort of clapback or just even mute and just kind of move on with your day. There's
Yeah,
so many
exactly.
people that stop creating and stop streaming just because they let it get to them, and it's
Oh,
sad to
so many.
see.
The amount of times people come in, like, I don't even touch the game anymore after the stuff I've been like, like what people have been telling me. I'm
Mhm.
like, no, like that's not what we want. Like, I want. That's why there's not that many women that play Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Like, come on, like in every lobby, like in every like out of 10 lobbies, I'll maybe find 2 girls.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
there's not many girls. I mean, there's more than before, of course. Like,
yeah.
excuse me, more than in the past at Juvie. Use code Steff, 10% off. Wait, what?
Yeah, I definitely understand it, and there's definitely a couple more that I do want to add on, but I do want to kind of start going back in time and kind of get to understand, Steff from a better, positioning and just kind of how you got into gaming in general. Excuse me. So let's kind of travel back in time and just being a kid, being little Steff, and getting into games and stuff. How did that transpire for you?
Okay, so funny enough is I was obsessed with RPG games, like role play games, like
Hmm.
RuneScape. I don't consider Minecraft being no, Minecraft would in a
Yeah,
sense
give
be
or
an
take.
RPG. Yeah. So like RuneScape, Minecraft, StarCraft, that's more of a defense and strategy game. Do you
Right.
know StarCraft?
Yeah, I do.
By chance? Yeah, I was obsessed. So it was Minecraft, RuneScape, StarCraft. I was absolutely obsessed with those games. And then at one point it was Skyrim and what was another game? Oh, what was it called? Ratchet and Clank.
Mm,
That's more like a story-based game mode, but it's also
yeah.
mixed with like RPG. So I have never touched a first-person shooter game in my life. I hated everything about them. They were to me complete like ass. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know how people play this. This is terrible. And so I grew up like absolutely obsessed with those games, and I remember coming home from school and like running upstairs to play Minecraft or RuneScape. That was my two main games, is
Yeah.
Minecraft and RuneScape. The amount of hours I have on RuneScape is insane. Whew, I used to cheat. Like I would go to school and I would bought my mouse. Like there was like a clicker and it
Yeah.
would like farm trees for me and then put in my bank and then farm like I would do that while I was at school. Like but then I moved to the US when I was
Hmm.
10 and I was depressed, I think, about the first 3 to 4 years I was here. Like, I learned English when I came here. Like, I knew some, but not much. So I had to fully learn English. I went to a school where the culture was so different. Like, it was so cliquey.
Yeah.
And I'm such like I talk to everyone and get to know everyone kind of person. And it was so clicky, and I just couldn't find my click, I guess, when I moved here, because I'm very much a tomboy. I still am.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely preach it. I don't like dressing girly at all. And so I was a tomboy when I came to school, and all the girls were wearing like full makeup, like
Hmm.
they were like super nice dressed up, like they were going home to play with dolls, and I was like, I don't play soccer. Like what is this? Like I want to play video games.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like buried myself in Minecraft for a little bit the first couple of years I moved to the US, but I hated the US so much. I
Mm.
kept telling my parents every single day how I wanted to move back to Norway. I hated this place. I hated everything about it. I couldn't make friends. I mean, I had like some friends, but not really.
Yeah.
And so, I didn't like doing sleepovers. And the only thing the girls wanted to do was sleepovers, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah, that
I
was
didn't
definitely the
get,
normalist thing,
yeah.
I'd say.
See, I didn't get to liking sleepovers until I was like 13, 14, around there. That's when it took myself like 3 years to find myself in the US, like a
Gotcha.
long time. And so I was like binging like RPG games the first 3 years. And then after that, I just stopped. Never touched video games again. From like the age 13, 14 to like 17, never touched a video game. Like, I
Really?
mean, maybe occasionally,
Yeah.
like, but never. I didn't game. I didn't touch anything. So it was like a whole span of my life. I never even played video games. And obviously, I went to high school, finished high school, went to college. I played soccer in college, got my biology degree. Like, I had no interest in social media, no interest in video games, nothing
Hmm.
until my senior year of college. My ex at the time, as I said, started playing Fortnite, and I was like, "Ooh, this looks fun. Like, I want to try this." And so I got obsessed with Fortnite. Absolutely obsessed. But then again, I was also in a relationship, and you weren't in the party mood anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we'd still enjoyed partying, but you're together with someone. You don't really look to
Yeah.
go out. And so that's how I got into it, and that's kind of how I remember I started playing Fortnite, and then MW19 came out. And I tried the beta for MW19, and I was like, this sucks. This is
Yeah.
not a good game. And so I went right back to Fortnite. And then MW19 released, and I think it was like 2 or 3 months into the game. I'm pretty sure he introduced me. Yeah, he did. he introduced me to playing it. Like we started playing in groups of people, like groups of 6 or whatever, to play S&D and all that, and I
Yeah.
just became obsessed, and that's how my like content creation journey started. Like it is literally thanks to Fortnite and MW19 in 2019, because that's when I graduated college. So besides the gaming aspect, I graduated college with a biology degree, funny enough, and here I
Yeah.
am, not even using it, very much in
Well,
debt.
congrats on getting it. It still took
Thank you. Yeah. I
dedication
mean,
to get it.
it definitely looks good. Like when I'm looking for jobs, or like if I fall off content creation, which to
100%.
this day I still expect to,
So I
like
guess before you kind of continue going on, are you glad that you kind of have that backup plan? Because a lot of
yes.
people don't really have a plan B. So are you
Mhm.
kind of happy you have that?
Yeah, I am. Okay, so when I graduated college, I wanted to become a veterinarian.
Hmm.
That was
Okay.
the plan. Like all I have to do is apply for vet school. Actually, no, I'm missing one class. I need biochemistry, and then I can apply for vet school. And so
Gotcha.
I remember I was like, oh, I have to take biochem, like another class. And if I was already so burnt out of school at this point, like becoming a veterinarian is another what, 4 to 8 years or something like
Yeah.
that of studying and learning. And I was like, you know what? Like, I can't do this. I don't think this is my route. And so I fell in love with conservation biology. And I was my last semester, I took some conservation classes, did a research paper on it, absolutely loved it. So I was like, okay, cool. Like after college, I'm gonna take a gap year and see what I want to do. So I got
Hmm.
a job as a regulatory regula- a regulatory oh my god, what's the title? Well, basically regulatory in with regulations of pesticides and fertilizers.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
regulatory. Oh my god, what's the word? I'll think of it in a
It's
second.
fine.
I've said this on stream as well, and I like was blanking out. Okay, but it was a title, regulatory assistant or regulatory something.
Hmm.
I can't remember. But basically, I did the EPA regulations of pesticides and fertilizers. So we were like a third
Third
party
party.
in a way to like the companies of pesticides and fertilizers. So they would send us their formula, their labels, and then we would review them to make sure the formula was correct, that
Yeah.
everything chemistry-wise was correct, and everything on the label was correct. And then we would send that to the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency.
Hmm.
They would review it again and then send it back to us as if there was problems, then we would fix it and then send it back kind of thing. And
Okay.
then we would also register them within all the. So it was a high-end job
Yeah.
right out of college. I don't know how I got it. So underqualified for it. But it was because I had a biology
Yeah.
degree.
Well, I mean, it seems like you adapted well to it. I mean, it seems like you
Oh,
caught
I
on pretty
enjoyed
quick.
it. I loved it. It was a great job. Like I got paid for a starting job. Like I got paid 35,000 a year
Hmm.
right out of college. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
that's
not
crazy.
life changing, but it's good money.
Yeah,
Like so, I was like,
especially depending on the area that you live in.
yeah. And so I was like, "Whoa," like it was like what, 18, 19 an hour. Like I'm sitting in an office. I got my own office.
Yeah.
I had like were like, "All right, what kind of PC and monitors do you want?" I'm like, "Huh?" Like it was a nice job. Like I really enjoyed
To-
it until so it was a startup company, and
mhm.
startup. It was already pretty started, but it was a small company.
Work in
But
progress.
I used to work hand in hand with the husband and one other lady at the office, which she's me and her are still really close. But it was only us three in the office for the first like 6 months, and then we moved into another office, and the wife started working very
Mm.
close and in the office,
Yeah.
and everything just went to shit. He, like, was the most micromanager. When I say micromanager, I would come with oatmeal in the mornings for breakfast, right? And you know how oatmeal
Yeah.
sticks? Very sticky. I would put it in water for about 30 minutes to an hour and then go and wash it every morning usually. And if I didn't wash it within the first 10 minutes of me putting in the water, I would get an email and she would leave a note.
Wow.
And then we had a massage chair in the office. If the massage, so you know when you move a seat from the floor and the dust is like
Yeah.
not there because it's
Yep.
been sitting there for so long, she would notice if it was moved. She would put a note. You
So
have to
she
put
so
the
she had a
massage
big
chair.
old white glove that she just smacked on and just there it is.
Yeah, no, literally. And she was the same with work. We had like a big Excel sheet that had thousands of products on it. I mean, thousands, and we had
Yeah.
to update it every month.
Wow.
And so if you forgot to put like a comma or a period, she would call you out. So I was like, you know what? This 9 to 5 bullshit, having a boss over me is not my thing. And so that's how I realized I wanted to work for myself.
Yeah.
And I was also working that full-time job. Okay, so everybody says you don't have time for content creation. You do. Do you want to hear my schedule when I was working full-time?
Let's do it.
It's crazy to me. People are like, "Oh, I don't have time. Like, I have a full-time job." Well, it's some people, fair.
Yeah.
Full-time jobs require a lot of work, like some are like outside of work. So there's different circumstances. I mean, for the people that literally work a 9 to 5 and then you have the hours after to do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I would literally work that 9 to 5. During my lunch hours, I would sit and cut down a TikTok. So I would sit and eat and sit on my laptop and cut down. And this laptop was so bad, it lagged every time I moved stuff on Adobe. I'm like, come on. And so I would sit and do that. Sometimes I would cut down on my phone because it would lag so much on my PC. And then I would cut everything down. I would get home. Sorry, I wouldn't even get home. I would go straight from my office to the gym that was next door. Thankfully, I had
Yeah.
a gym right next door. I would stop by the gym, do about 30 minutes to an hour, and then drive home. And I had an hour and 45 to an hour and a half commute.
Mm.
Remember that. I
Yeah.
would get up at like 5:30 every morning and then commute home. I'd be home by like 8 o'clock. And it was like 6:37. Because usually sometimes I would sneak out of the office a little early because the bosses would leave. And so I would get home and I would stream from 7 o'clock to 11 at night. Sorry, 7:30 to 11 at night every single day during the weekdays. Some days I would take off if I was absolutely exhausted. Obviously, you can't live like that every single
Yeah.
day. And so I would stream 7:30 to 11, and then I would clip, like I had a clip button for when I got clips, and then I would do the same thing over and over every single day. And I would post on TikTok 3 to 4 days a week. And
So
that's how I slowly started blowing up.
so in your opinion, for people that are watching and stuff, your opinion on how important having a set stream schedule is to you, how important would
So
that be to you?
important. So important. Having like when I've never not had a set stream. Well, I've never not had a set time for when
Mhm.
I start my stream. Days wise, I don't think is really that important because if you have a set time of usually when you're live, stick to that time because the amount of people that will just check, oh my God, okay, it's like, oh, Steff could potentially be live
Yeah.
right now because they know exactly the time I'm live. The amount of times my community will message in my Discord, be like, Steff, it's 30. Where are
Five
you? I'm like,
o'clock.
I'm on
Where
the
are
way. I'm
you?
sorry. Yeah, literally. And so now my stream schedule is during the day since I do this full time now. I don't have to worry
Mm.
about going to a job. Like, absolutely grateful because doing that absolutely burnt me out. I did that for a year straight where I would just edit during lunch, stream at
Yeah.
night, and wake up again. And sometimes I would do drinking streams on the weekdays, like a dumbass. I don't know why, but
Yeah.
I got excited. People would donate subs. I'm like, shots, baby.
It's cool. I mean, it's nice to get into your niche and have something that's personal to you. And I feel like that's kind of the stigma is what's personal to you usually is kind of like a bunch of other people's stuff. But I feel like that's a lot of people's like, oh, like I don't want to be like him or be like her. And it's like you don't have to be like that. You could do exactly what they do, but just add your own twist to it. And I think that's something
Exactly.
a lot of people struggle with. And I appreciate you being able to kind of talk about your past and your struggles that you've dealt with. And I feel like that definitely gives you a good newfound motivation for, of course, the creator you are now and the wonderful community that you have behind you. So that kind of one gets me into my next question about streaming. I mean, I know that you said, I believe you said it was your ex that had originally got you into streaming, just kind of hyping you up. So how did streaming kind of happen for you? Did you have like a bunch of friends that kind of got you into it, or did you just kind of start from scratch and just hope for the best?
So, well, funny enough, I'll give you a little background on how it started. So,
Hmm.
my ex hyped me into streaming, but then when I started consistently doing it, he was very much against it
Really?
because he was jealous
Wow.
and thinking I wasn't paying enough attention to him or I wasn't texting him back. We lived together. I'm
Wow.
like, you could literally just come into my chat and hang out. But so I ended up breaking up with him. So he was actually the worst part of my like
Dang.
content creation journey. But that's fine. It wasn't a bad breakup. It was
Right.
just like mutually like this isn't
Yep.
gonna
Just
work
part
out.
ways.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
So he's the reason I got into streaming. Yes and no. I didn't know anyone in the space. I wasn't part of any social media. I had no following, nobody that gave me any kind of boost. Like
Hmm.
everything that I built is completely like because of me making content and posting on platforms. So I started streaming obviously in early 2019, like seriously. That's when I fully like went in like this. I want this, you know.
Hmm.
And then obviously, I had that blow up and it failed. And then I had a break for about a year and a half, and then I
Right.
fully went like 100% in for MW2. Like I was like, this is my time. Like this is when I'm blowing up. And so the way my streaming journey kind of started was that, and then I took a break. There was something I was about to share, but it kind of blanked on me. Oh my god. Oh
That's
my
okay.
god. My
That's
mind's
okay.
running, like, at 100
No,
miles
you're
per
fine.
hour right
I
now.
understand.
Also at juvie, so, like, it's like I'm, like, tweaking.
Yeah,
Okay,
you're
but
fine.
so Adam I met, like, halfway like, a bit into my streaming journey. He came in
Mhm.
early, and I think he is one of the biggest reasons why I am doing this still to this day. He's the one that kinda, like not forced me, but he did force me in a way to keep streaming. Like, "You're doing
Yeah.
good. Like, you are good at what you
Yeah, and
do."
that's
Like
that is so
yeah.
important. I feel like there's so many relationships that if you would just believe in one another, that it wouldn't
It
matter.
works.
Nothing
Yeah,
else would
like, oh my
matter.
god, he's amazing. The reason I have like, during my subathon yesterday for oh, no, sorry, on, Tuesday? Wednesday.
Yeah,
No,
Wednesday
Tuesday,
was
Tuesday. It was Tuesday
hmm?
for Halloween. It was Tuesday,
Halloween. It was
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Yeah, now you're
I'm
having me
lost.
confused. And,
It's
I
Wednesday,
was
Steph.
I literally forgot. So I had a sub goal at 300. That's when I could start having drinks. And I was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't buy anything." He's like, "I got you. Like, I'll go to the store. You're good. Like, don't order." Like, he's just there to do stuff. Like, if I need something last minute, if I forget to post a YouTube video, I'm like, "Hey, do you mind?" He's like, "No, no, I got you." He'll
Yeah.
do it for me, or he'll make a graphic for me if I need it last minute, or so it's just that having someone there to always like help you out when you're truly like just can't do something is the greatest feeling ever. And I got to give props to my friend Mika as well. Do you know Mika?
I've heard of her. I don't know
Yeah,
her
she's
obviously
one of my
personally.
mods. She became my mods like years ago, and holy crap, she every time I do a subathon or any sponsored stream or I need graphics, she's on it like that. When I had the Sony, so okay, well, speaking of streaming journey, I've gotten to a point like I went to TwitchCon this year and I was sponsored by Sony and I got to stream from their booth at TwitchCon,
Oh
and
wow.
I did like a whole segment, like they sponsored my entire trip basically.
Awesome. Yeah, congrats.
Um, yeah, it was I mean, they didn't sponsor it, but the money I made from it, like, covered,
Yeah.
so basically.
Made a
And
change.
Mika was there, and she was sitting next to me at the convention at TwitchCon, like, helping me with commands and giveaways and
Oh.
everything. So, like, it's just, like it's going from literally, like, being a nobody, having my phone and my PC set up to watch myself, to averaging 200, like, close viewers, and doing a brand deal for Sony is, like, crazy to me. Like, it's surreal.
Yeah.
Like,
No, I mean
how
it's
far I've
amazing,
gotten.
and yeah, I mean we had kind of had this conversation a couple days ago when we kind of did our little one-on-one, but I mean that's kind of I guess that's kind of my big point of my podcast is like it's the most like corny thing, but like you don't know the kind of impact that you can make, and regardless however big you have gotten or what you're doing, I mean just knowing that you have changed somebody's life or their day and making them happy, like it really does make a difference. And to me, that's my passion for gaming, for
Yeah,
streaming, for doing this podcast, knowing that somebody's listening and they're like, oh, I didn't think about that, or oh, that's so sick. And just being able to have that interaction, it's the simplest thing that a bunch of people lack, and it's just right there in front of you, and it's something money can't buy, and it's just something that you have to go out and do, and if you want it, you'll do it.
exactly. Like, you gotta have a drive. Like, you won't I mean, some people are lucky. They do have it handed to them because
Hmm.
they're best friends with a streamer that's massive, for example, and just playing side by side with them will get you views. Some people get it handed to them, and obviously, like, that's great. Like, I hope you take that opportunity and roll with it.
Yeah.
And then some people literally start from nothing, and I have to say, I mean, I was grateful. Actually, no. Like my first, you should have seen my setup. Like when I first started, I had my PlayStation 4. I mean, my parents bought my PlayStation 4 for me at the
Hmm.
time, so definitely I, in a way, had help, to start this career
Yeah.
because I didn't have a job or anything when I first got my PlayStation 4. It was so old. I had like the very first PlayStation 4. I remember I started with that. I started with my $40 headset, like I don't know, Astro
Hmm.
A20s or whatever
Yeah.
with my controller, and I'd hit the go live on my PlayStation and it sounded like crap.
Yeah.
I sounded so bad every time I screamed, it peaked. Like,
Yeah.
but somehow brought in viewers that way, started editing off my phone. Thankfully, what I'm saying, like, I'm grateful that I even had a phone in the first place and a laptop. Like, my parents helped me out a lot from the start, but ever since then, everything's been me. Like, all the money I made, everything I bought has been fully me. Like,
Yeah.
I saved up for so long to get my first PC. Like,
Yeah.
I remember I got a custom build. I started with a cheap one. It was like cheap. It was like
Right.
14, no, 1200, which for a custom PC build that's
Yeah.
usually a normal price, you know.
Hmm.
Now my PC is probably like 3K
Yeah.
because I've added so much to it. But like it's just like some people are handed the money and the views and the I don't know, fame, and some people aren't. And I feel like the people that aren't handed it are the most driven people. Like the ones
100%.
that started from nothing to being where they are today. It's just like, for example, like Lucci. You know Lucci, right?
Hmm.
That guy still edits all his own content, his YouTubes and his TikToks, and streams full time, and has a family. I'm pretty sure he's married, right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Yeah, like
It's crazy.
how? Like it's crazy. Like
And
I'll
I
be
had
honest.
And
What?
I had kind of had the same thing, with the PlayStation. That's how I was kind of known for when my kind of upcoming. It was on Black Ops 4. That's what I would do all the time. I'd go and I'd snipe in the sniper lobbies, and I was, in my opinion, I was arguably a really credible sniper, back in that time. And I had my PS4. I had my little PS4
I
camera
had a
on top
big
of my
ass TV.
TV.
Yeah, I
Yep,
remember
I
the
had a big old
camera.
TV, big old flat screen. I had
Yeah.
bought an adapter off of Amazon that gave you like an additional USB ports, and I had my headset, my mic, I think my speakers, and something else. And I had like all these crazy wires, and then I would go on my PlayStation and click live. And I'd actually said this on a podcast before, but there's a clip, like a really old clip of terrible quality. I had like LED lights on my ceiling and stuff, and I had hit a 5 on head with the ELO sight. And you could just see like a shit quality and me just being like,
Yeah.
and I was like raging and like going crazy, and it highlighted my career. And that's definitely how like I got my start like as Feeds, because that's where Feeds is built from, is just sniping, and just I just love seeing my name in the kill feed. It stems all the way back to 2016 and COD Ghost. And I know that we had some other things to talk about, but that's kind of another question that I do ask is there a story behind the branding, SteffyEvans? Is there a story behind how you got the name? No.
No. I it was my email. Well, actually my first email was coolsteffi@hotmail.com. Don't ask.
He's living
It was in
lavishly.
Norwegian though. It's cool Steffi.
Cool.
So cool Steffi at
Yeah.
hotmail.com. I don't know what happened to that email. I don't know where it is. But then I just changed it to Steffi Evans because my parents would call me Steffi. And I just started from there. And then I remember making my Fortnite name Steffi Evans 10 because 10 was my favorite number. I don't know why I just didn't keep it Steffi Evans, but for some reason I was so keen on having the 10 in there. So 10 was my favorite number. It was my soccer number growing up. So I made a Steffi Evans 10 for my emails, and then made that for Fortnite, and then I figured, okay, might as well follow it through with Twitch and everything. Because at the time I didn't think Twitch would be anything big.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like now I kind of regret having Steffi Evans. I think it looks clean, just like the name itself. Like it's me, it represents me, It looks professional. But it screws me over because I get doxxed a lot because they
Yeah.
have my full name. Like in Call of Duty, I've gotten doxxed like
Do
4 or
you
5
do you
times
think that
already.
you'll ever rebrand, or you think you're just going to keep it how it is?
I feel like I'm so deep in
Yeah.
Steffi Evans
That's
right
true.
now, it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
And plus, I did rebrand. I took away the 10.
Yeah. Big
Be Steffi
change.
Evans 10 on everything. And
Yeah.
so
Well, I
I remember
mean,
Adam was like, "You need to rebrand to just Steffi Evans." I was like, Okay.
Yeah, like with me, like my first only ever name before Feeds was it was the dumbest name ever. It was Random Gamer with 4 sevens, and like some of the letters would be like substituted with numbers, like R4ND0M. Like
God.
it was so dumb. And so there was a really dumb community clan called XGN, Exiled Gaming Nation, back in 2015, and it was just kind of, it served no purpose. We didn't do nothing, but just basically there were set days where we would just go and play private matches and just have a little bit of fun. But they had reached out to me. We was playing a search and rescue lobby because I was in COD Ghost. We was playing search and rescue, and I pooped on them, and they was like, "Hey," I was like, "We want you to join XGN." I was like, like little kid me, I was like, "Cool." I was like,
Woo!
What is
I
that?"
know.
Like,
You're
sure.
excited.
And they said, all you have to do is 1v1 a member of our choosing, and if you win, then we will change your name, but you have to pick something not stupid like Random Gamer. And I was like, okay, bit offended, but that's fine. And so I went in and I, shit on the kid and stuff, and they paid me, I think it was like 15,000 Microsoft points, whatever the currency was back at the time. And I was like, man, I don't know what to name myself. And I loved sniping. I loved seeing my name in the kill feeds, and I was just at the point understanding like quad feeds and 5-ons and stuff, and I was like, sure, like I'll go with feeds. And like fast forward now, it is Feeds XD because feeds is fucking taken everywhere. So
Of
Feeds
course,
XD
yeah.
is where I'm at. But yeah, and I think that like it's important that you have some type of background. And I know yours is not the background that you want, but it's the most you could ever be, of course. But I do think it's important because if I never had that realization and gotten to where I'm at, I may still be called a Random Gamer with 4 sevens to this
Exactly.
day. And it's like, it really doesn't matter. But like to me personally, that's something I love seeing is when a creator blows up and hits where they want to be, like somebody like Bams, where he hit 1 million on YouTube and stuff. And that's what I love. Not really, I love knowing the fact that he got there and he made it, but I just love the backstory and where the name come from, and he built something
It's
on
cool
his
to
own
hear
to
about.
make
Yeah.
it into something. So that's
It
something I
makes
was
it
always
feel more
interested in.
personal too. So one huge thing I feel that is so important with like me and my like career and what
Mhm.
and doing this is building a community. I've
100%.
noticed a lot of big streamers, like, yeah, they don't even read like 400 plus. Like they read their chat, but they don't. They don't
Right.
care to get to know who's in chat. It's more just another person jumping in. It's just a number to them, and
Yep.
it's just money to them as well. And one thing for me, obviously, yes, money is the sole reason I am doing this full time.
Of course.
But I do subathons because I think they're fun and it's more incentives behind them giving me subs, Like I have more fun with it. But I am so big on building a community. Like I want to be able to have inside jokes with my members that are in my chat, my mods, my VIPs, even just random subs. Like just knowing, like, I see, for example, one of my mods and I'll say something that nobody else knows about, or I just like I'm just so big on like getting to know each and every individual in one or two ways. Like either knowing if they have kids or asking about their day and actually genuinely remembering what they said and the
Yeah.
next day being like, "Hey, like I hope after yesterday your day is better now."
Yeah.
And that's one thing I feel I differentiate with a lot of people is I mean, I know a lot of people that try to build communities like that too, but I go out on my way to talk to them behind the scenes. Like I tell them if you need anything, DM me on Discord. Like I'll be in general chat too. Like at me in the Discord if you need to talk. Like I am here to talk. Like I'm here for you. Obviously, there's trauma dumping that sometimes I'm not
Right.
very comfortable with because I'm not very good at trauma dumping,
Right.
especially when it comes to emotions. Like
Mhm.
I'm very like they're like I'm feeling sad. I'm like, "Oh shit, like I hope your day feels better. Like if you need to talk, reach out." But then they'll come into chat and they'll just trauma dump.
Yeah.
That's when I'm like, "Whoa." I don't know what to do with that one in the middle of a stream when the
Yeah.
energy is high,
Yeah,
Like come to my
100%.
DM.
And there's like, people do have to understand boundaries. And like at the end of the day, like, yeah, you are going through stuff, but I mean, it's like if you're going through something, wouldn't you want to have that private conversation? Like, why would you
Yeah,
want to air out
exactly.
your dirty laundry in a very admissive chat? And something you had said before that is, you had said that just like everybody else, you try to genuinely remember people the next day and stuff. And I think, like, statistically, like at the beginning, you start out new chatter, hey, I have 2 kids, we had a rough day, we'll see you tomorrow. And it's like everybody does that. And then the next day you're like, hey, like, I hope you and your kids are all right and stuff. Then, like, statistically,
That
the amount of
makes
streamers that do that will instantly fall down to a really small percentage of you being in that, building that community, because a lot of people lack that second day, that comeback, the next time they
that's
chat.
what I
And then a lot of
encourage,
people's
like,
like, oh, who
yeah,
are you again? Oh, yeah. Instantly X, click out. I'm done.
yeah.
It's like, because if I want to build with you, I want you to understand me, and I want you to know, like, if I'm giving you time, like, I do want to have it back, but I also want to make sure that it's genuine. And I feel like that's a lot of people are kind of selfish nowadays, and it is really kind of hard to distinctify who's there for you and who's not.
That's like people are so about numbers. Like, yeah, great. Like seeing my numbers and analytics every day, amazing. Like obviously I'm gonna get happy about that. I'm not gonna
Right.
disregard my numbers, you know?
Right.
Um, but like one thing, like even if I don't remember something about them that they told me the stream before, because I do chat to a lot of people, you know, I usually 99.9% of the time, I'll remember that you were in my chat the day before. I'll be like, "Hey, welcome back. Like, thanks for coming back. It was nice talking to you yesterday or the stream before." They're like, "Oh, you remember me?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course." They're like, "What?" Like, they
So,
get
like,
shocked just one little detail that the streamer remembers. It makes them feel so special.
So, in your opinion, there's just a couple more questions I asked before we wrap things off here. But on this topic, in your opinion, for people that are full time creators, they wake up every day to do exactly this, play games and connect. What would your best like? Would that kind of be like a part of your best advice? Like, make it your mission to understand everybody that comes in and build that connection with them.
Obviously, okay, so I no, so that's not my number one.
Right. I
Yeah,
mean,
no,
not
it is.
like not
It
your
is.
number one, of
Okay, so
course.
I'll give my top 3 because
Hmm.
they all go hand in hand. So, so there's no like 1, 2, or 3 here. I'm
Sure,
just
sure.
saying it. Okay.
Just
So
prioritize.
yeah, um, no prioritization, but posting content is so as a creator, if you stream every single day and you don't take a snippet of your stream and post it on another platform, you're doing it wrong. I just genuinely, I don't understand why people do that. They stream for like 8 hours a day or 4 to 6 hours a day and never put your content onto another platform. It's crazy to me. Like, oh my God, please. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to do what I do or become a content creators like us, please post something on another platform. It's not that
Right.
hard. You can literally take a funny moment, cut it down, go into CapCut on your phone, completely free, by the way,
Yep.
and it will put it in a TikTok format for you and subtitle it for you. So I generally, people are like, oh, I don't have time. I'm like, yes, you do. You're just lazy. Like you
Yep.
can find that hour or 30 minutes you're laying scrolling through your TikTok feed, watching videos, you could have made one TikTok in 10 minutes right there. Like you have time. Everybody has time. Like second is yes, building a community. So obviously it's kind of some community people obviously like some come in and they say some stuff and it's just like general based and I don't remember them.
Right.
They don't give me anything personal or anything that like stands out. I'm gonna forget. Like I can only remember so much,
Right.
you
Of
know?
course.
Like if but I always try to make sure to be like, "Hey, like would love to see you again tomorrow. Like I appreciate you stopping by." Like I always do something like that. I always get hyped when somebody I know comes into I oh and then with building a community, start your streams, your first 10 to 15 minutes just saying hi to everyone.
Yeah.
Like I encourage people chatting so much and I say hi to everybody that comes in and I try to answer every single message in my chat. The only time you should ever be disregarding messages is if you're a 500 plus streamer. Then you can pick and choose. If your chat's blowing up, of course.
Right.
Under that, like if you're not doing all your willpower to respond to every chat, you're doing it wrong. Like I don't like why go live if you're not going to talk to your
Yeah,
community,
a
you
hundred
know?
percent,
Like
and like
so
not calling anybody out at all, but there's tons of people that do that, and there's people that do it that don't even realize they're just kind of playing the game to have fun. That's what they want to stream to do is to play the game. But it's like at the same time, like you are streaming, and you do have to understand that you're trying to build a community, but you're just as much a part of that community as them connecting, with you.
exactly. Like, they have no reason to stay if you're not gonna talk to them. I mean, there's some, yes, they can build a community off of just lurkers, but, like, what fun is there in that?
Yeah,
Like, I literally get so excited when I have drinks on the weekends, all I can think about is going live after and talking to my community and doing something fun. It's like a
Yeah.
party to me. Like,
Yeah.
I literally talk about my community to my family and friends. I'm like, "All right, Steph, like, relax. Like, it's all about you and your community. Like, stop talking about them." Like, sometimes I get so caught up in what I like, trying to explain what I do and how much I love what I do. I'm like, "Oh, shit. Like, these people don't even know what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop."
And I think that it is important to have some type of upbringing to your content and stuff. Just like me, like I've definitely not been streaming a lot because of jobs and stuff, but obviously the podcast is definitely something I'm trying to maintain. And I was telling you, obviously before this, my fiance Dumplings, who watches all your stuff and loves you and stuff, I talk to her all the time about you coming on or all the recent guests that I've had on, and it is nice to be able to have the passion and the want
Yes, I was
to
gonna say
talk
your
about what's
passion. Yeah.
upcoming up in your life.
It's literally that, like, it's a passion, like, I feel like some people just do streaming for money, and I
Mhm.
mean, I don't. Like, and the passion behind streaming is so much, like, I love what I do, like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it for the world, like, obviously, yes, at the end of the day, like, I have to look at numbers because I have to survive and be able to
Yeah.
pay for my living situation and my car and insurance and all that, but, like, I will make a sub goal for that sole reason, but I'm never like, "If you're here, you have to sub." Like, I will
Yeah.
never do that. Like, I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not
100%.
I just appreciate you guys chatting. Like, if you're here, the only thing I ask is either react to moments or chat with me. Like, that's all I want. Like,
Yeah.
I just wanna sit there and talk to you guys and hang out and game and grow a community, and biggest thing is, like, I do wanna make a change, like, this is just so I kinda got caught up in my passion for it, but my passion truly is, like, my content. Like, the content behind all of this and how I started streaming, it's making a change for women and empowering women in this world today. Like,
100%.
we are so shit on, and it's like, especially in the FPS section of games, like, other games, yes, because you can't really talk as much, but in FPS, like, it's horrible, like, the amount of people that come in and they're like, "I don't know how you do it." Like, "I can't talk, I can't stream it, I can't game." Like, I'm just getting shit on every single game. Like, I was like, "That's literally what I'm here for." Like, if you need somebody to just be in the lobby with you, I play with viewers twice a week for that sole reason.
Yeah.
I haven't been recently because 'cause I've been so busy, but I play with viewers twice a week. Like, not a lot of content creators do that. You
Yeah,
know?
definitely.
Like, it's just so like, "Hey, like, you need somebody to talk shit for you, I got you, or put a voice for you, I got you. Like, this is the reason I make content about this. I'm just trying to, like, be like a, I guess, a role model in a way?"
Yeah. Role
It
model in a
sounds so
safe space,
cheesy, you
100%.
know?
Yeah, I
But
definitely understand it. And that was going to kind of lead me into one of the questions I was going to ask anyways, specifically for women, because clearly you guys do go through your own battles and your own stuff, and it's awful the way that it is, but at the same time, just like I said, like it is awful, but it's not going to change until people make a change. And obviously, just like I said, like yourself, you make a very huge impact, and there's so many women creators. I think you are one of the only streams where I see so many women in the chat. And I think that is
it's
amazing.
like
So
80%.
yeah, so that's kind of one of my questions I was going to ask you is for women creators that do want to stream and do want to network and branch up, but they're afraid of putting on a camera or they have nobody to talk to or they're afraid of what people are going to say. What kind of advice would you give to women gamers that want to be that change and makeup, but they're afraid to get out of their comfort zone?
I think, to get out of your comfort zone in that situation is to find like-minded people. Like, if you truly want to go live and you're just see, confidence-wise, I can 100% like relate on. Like, I hate pictures. I hate sitting in
Hmm.
front of a camera. It took me 2 years to feel the comfort I do now in front of a camera. Like, I used to never stand up on stream or like dance around like I do
Hmm.
now. Like, it takes so long. You just have to start your first stream and just go for it. Honestly, it's like if you have that not if you don't have self-confidence, it's time to build on it. But
Yeah.
it's so big on surrounding yourself with like-minded people, and that's kind of why I started the community that I do. The amount of girls that didn't play the game and didn't talk in game chat until they joined my Discord and my streams is actually insane. Like, if I ask on stream, like, "Hey, did any of you guys like?" If I could literally just ask on stream, probably like 40% of my community be like, "Yeah, I never touched a game and I never spoke in game chat until like I started playing with like
Yeah.
other like-minded people
Yeah.
from
And
your
I've seen
community."
that and it's amazing.
Like, it literally is just surrounding yourself with like-minded people, like, get out of that negative space because obviously whoever you're playing with is obviously not a good person to be around if you're being
100%.
if so afraid to stand up for yourself, like even speak. Like, I mean, if you're playing by yourself, fair. Like, obviously, some people it's tough to even just find those people. Like um being social and finding friends. I always suggest like finding a community within the streaming world that makes you feel comfortable and then going from there. Being active in a streamer's chat. It's such an easy way to find friends.
Yeah.
Like it like there's nothing else I can say about it. Other than that, it's like maybe video games isn't for you, you know?
Right.
Maybe
100%.
but I don't want everyone to have to say that. But you like if you cannot find yourself within any community whatsoever, if you don't like video games or you just can't do it, then streaming might not be it for you, you know? Like that's kind of the harsh reality at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm not going to say don't play the game.
Right.
If you truly enjoy the game, then yeah, keep playing it, but mute, you know?
Of
So,
course.
but that's what I'm
Definitely.
s but that's why I wanna make a change so people don't have to worry about that kinda
Yeah.
shit.
And
Like,
I
they don't
hope
have to
that,
worry about people they're gonna get RAPED'd every
yeah.
single day.
100%. Yeah, and
Hate
I
that
think,
word.
I hope that any of the women and men too, obviously men have their own battles just as
Oh,
much.
yeah, of
Obviously
course.
women definitely have more in a different context for
Eh,
sure.
no, I wouldn't
Um
say that. Like, I was actually gonna say that, like,
mhm,
one thing that people get a lot from me, they're like, "Oh, you don't like men." I'm like, "No."
right.
I just stand up for women, and I know men have battles as well that they deal with. And I have to say, women do have it easier within the streaming world. It is easier for us to get views compared to guys. That's just a harsh reality of things. Like, if you want to make it as a guy in this streaming space, you have to have something super unique. For women, if you're somewhat good looking, you'll probably just get views off that. That's just the harsh reality behind it. But my community is fully with males, or I hate the word males and females, men,
Yeah.
sorry, is fully for men as well going through shit. Like, and my community is literally for everybody to hang out and play and I don't know, jump into a video game and talk shit together or custom lobbies. Like, I still have a ton of guys in my streams and they're like, this
Yeah.
community is awesome. I've met so many people. So, and I just want to say, I have no hate towards men whatsoever. I literally am dating a guy. Like, I live with two dudes, if
Yeah.
that says anything. It's just the biggest base of shit talk is men on Call of Duty, and there's nothing
Right.
I can do about that, you know? And that's where the fragile men came from, because everyone that talks shit to me is men. And then I have the occasional pick me girls, and I
Mhm.
still expose them. I post them as well. Like, you're not special if you're a guy talking shit to me. If you're a girl talking shit to me, I'm exposing you as well. Like,
Mhm.
that's what I. All right, that's my piece on that. I
Yeah,
wanted to say
no,
that.
no,
Okay,
that's fine, and
go
I
ahead.
completely understand that, and I think it's a very important, light that gets shed because that is kind of the harder version of things that nobody wants to talk about because they're afraid of how they come off or hurting people's feelings and stuff. And at the end of the day, like these are real battles. These are things that people go through. And a question I was going to ask, a little bit before that, because obviously we had started out by basically saying, you had essentially started from scratch with your streaming and building everything up by yourself. So how does it feel knowing that you had started all by yourself with your own ground and your own passion to now you're playing Call of Duty and a random lady chimes in saying, Steffi, is that you, Steffi? Hi. How does that feel?
It never gets old. It literally never gets old. I thought it would. Like, being recognized in any lobby, like, I'm geeking. I'm sitting behind the camera. I'm like, my chat's like, Steph, you're blushing. I'm like, I just can't help it. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't get old, no matter what. Like, when I was walking at TwitchCon, I had 3 girls come up like,
Oh.
Steph? I'm like, what? You recognize they're like, "Yes, I love your content so
Oh.
much." I was like, oh my god." Like, it just doesn't get old. Like, I mean, maybe at a bigger scale when a lot of people start recognizing me,
Right.
I might get used to it, but no. Like, it's the best feeling in the world to know that, like, somebody actually watches my content and they enjoy it and it's made a difference for them. Like, meeting my mods. Two of my community members and one of my mods came up for TwitchCon just to meet me. I'm like,
Wow.
"Just for me?" They're like, "Yeah." And, like, we had dinner together and we partied together and it was so fun. And now for Loot Fest coming up, which is one thing I would love to bring out. Loot Fest coming up is in February. I don't know if you're going, but you definitely should consider it.
Mhm.
It's just one weekend. It's in Fort Worth, in Texas. And basically, it's like a little convention center with a bunch of people going, like, and they get to meet creators, and like Dr. Lupo's gonna be there, and
Yeah.
then Grandma, and all of them. And we get our little meet and greet booth, and I know already like 15 plus community members going, and I'm geeking right now because they're
Yeah.
coming for me. I mean, they're coming to
Yeah.
party and they're
Right.
coming for me, of course,
Yeah,
you
I mean
know?
it's sick, and you know, like I mean it's just a lot of positivity, and I just that's just what a lot of people need, and like I said, it's right there for everybody, and they're the ones holding themselves back from such a wonderful time and such amazing creators, and that's obviously the same exact morals that I have on my podcast. I want to be able to talk about the creator and make an impact, and somebody listening, something that you say or that I say change them or their mindset or just make them happy or give them motivation. Like that's what it's all about. And like just like you said, obviously like money and all that kind of stuff, like it comes when it comes, and like yeah, like that's real life. But even if you have all the money in the world, there has to be more to it. You know, like there has to
Exactly.
be some type of goal. So one of the last questions that I will kind of ask before we wrap things up is people obviously that you know are struggling through mental health. They want to take a break. They just started and they've built you know a little community, but now they're just not feeling it and they're afraid nobody's going to be there for them. What kind of advice would you give to people that want to take a break, but they kind of feel like they're forcing themselves to stream and they're upset if nobody would come back?
That's actually a really tough one because it's something I struggle with every day to
Hmm.
this. I took off a couple of days for COD Next, and then I
Hmm.
took off days for TwitchCon. But thankfully, I had a stream during COD Next, obviously, and I did an IRL stream and the Sony stream during TwitchCon. And even like this month, even with missing at least 2 weeks total, almost of streaming, I still hit like 80 to 90 hours.
Yeah.
And so, like, but even taking those days off, I was so stressed that I was going to lose my entire community and nobody's going to be there. And I still deal with that every day. I don't know how to get rid of that mindset.
Hmm.
It's just knowing that my community always assure me, like, you've built a community. Like, Steph, we're going to be here for you if you need to take days off or if you have a vacation or something like that. But I don't know what it is. My mindset is just like, no, like, I can't take days off. I skipped the vacation with my parents. Like, they were gonna fully pay for it and everything
Wow.
a couple of months back, and I was like, "No, I just can't, like, I'm blowing up right now, and if I stop streaming for, like, 3 or 4 days, nobody's gonna come back." And so I don't really have any advice besides the fact that if you do have a community and you feel like you are close with your community members, then they're gonna be there at the end of the day. It's just your paranoia coming in, thinking that everything you've built and you've worked for is just gonna disappear like that. And to this day, I still deal with it. Um, and I just say if you really need a mental health day, take it. I do
Yeah.
take mental health days a lot. Like yesterday after my subathon, I was dead. Like I was exhausted. And I promised my stream I would stream. I was like, I can't. Like 14 hours was just too much for me the day
Right.
before. And there's days I'm like, "Hey, chat, like, not feeling great," or "I got work to do, like, I gotta take off." But that's, like, the most I'll take off. I'll only take
Yeah.
off maybe a day or 2. I can't do, like, a week. Like, I'm terrified because for December, I'm taking a week and a half off. Or,
Hmm.
like, yeah, about a week and a half. So, we'll see.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
thing.
yeah, definitely. And I hope that, you know, something that you said there, you know, does resonate. I know obviously it is kind of a hard topic, but I think my advice is just something that's not normalized. And it's like you build a community, they know that you're going live, but I feel like there's not a lot of people that keep them in the loop. Like if you're having a bad day and you're not going to stream, a lot of people just don't stream and they just leave their socials, which there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're building a community and somebody's excited to come to you and then they click on you at 7 o'clock and you're nowhere to be found, I mean, I think it is a little important for them to be like, hey, just like not feeling it, you know, I'm so sorry. Because
Yeah,
it's just a
it's hard.
status update,
It's
you
hard.
know?
I literally like that's what I'm saying, like so smart. I didn't even think about that. But like
Mhm.
every time I take a day or two off, I will at everyone in my Discord now and let them know exactly. I will be fully transparent. Like, hey, I feel like shit. Or hey, I'm hungover today. Like I cannot go live. Like I'm so transparent with my community. And I think that's one thing. They know everything about me.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some stuff I have to keep
Right, of
secret,
course.
obviously. Yeah, but like relationship wise between me and Adam, I keep most like I'll share most of stuff, but there's stuff like obviously you're not gonna share out of respect
Of
for your
course.
significant other. But I think being transparent with your community is like the one of the biggest factors. That was the third one I was gonna say
Yeah.
earlier, I'm pretty sure.
No, you're good.
I
Yeah,
don't think we ever
it
talked
definitely
about
is,
that.
and it really can make just such a drastic difference. And like I said, just that one person may not mean nothing now, but I mean, you never know who that's going to be.
Mm.
And I mean, heck, just like I said, I never thought that me and Steff would be sitting here having this podcast, and here we are. And so it's like nothing's going to happen if you don't try, and if you don't do it, and if
Exactly,
you
you gotta go out of
don't
your box.
procrastinate. So before we wrap things up here, is there anything that you're excited to share with your community? Kind of plans that you have coming up that you'd want to share with
No, it was
anybody?
just Loot Fest, the one I brought
Just
up
Loot Fest,
earlier. Yeah,
gotcha,
I mean, they know about it. I talk about it every single day, so
gotcha.
yeah, I'm so excited for it. I
Yeah,
appreciate you having me on there, though. This was fun. I love stuff like this because it also it makes me like update my community about stuff I haven't or the new members haven't heard about me. So it's really nice. I appreciate you having me on. So I was excited
yeah.
for this, but I've been so busy,
Yeah,
like
no, and
stupid,
I
with fun
understand.
and
We've rescheduled a bunch
events
of times, but it's not bothering me at all.
yeah.
Like everybody has lives, and I get it. And obviously, just like you said, I do appreciate your time, being able to come on here and be the wonderful, woman that you are, and advocating for all the other men and women out there and stuff. It's very important, and what you do makes a crazy difference. And I can speak from personal experience. You have affected my fiance, Dumplings. She loves you to death,
Oh,
and so I just want you to know that you make a drastic difference, and that's what I'm here for, is to not only let you know, but also highlight other people. If you're watching this and you don't know me or don't know Steff, like, I promise you, please tap in, create yourself, and be around like-minded creators that want to succeed, and you will never fail. As long as you have all that positivity around you, there's no reason to be negative.
exactly. So true.
So the
Well said.
very last thing before we end off, do you have any other, any last words that you want to tell anybody before we end off here?
Any last words? For my community members that are watching this, fuck you.
Damn.
Don't worry, it's an inside joke. They'll know.
GG's.
Wait, GG easy.
Definitely.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
it.
Of course. No, I appreciate your time. Anybody that's watching, thank you so much for tuning in. If you want to check out Steff, her Twitter handle is right below her head. If you want to check in the description, that's where all her links will be. Check her out. You're live. Are you live every day? Do you have a set schedule?
Uh, Monday through Friday, like 2:30 p.m. Central to late afternoon.
Gotcha.
And then sometimes weekends, like depending Saturday nights or Sundays
Yeah.
varies. But yeah,
Gotcha.
usually
Yeah,
Monday through Friday.
but go check her out. I appreciate everybody watching. This has been episode 31. I appreciate you guys so much. This has been Feeds Mindset. My name is Feeds, and I'm out, guys.